As I stepped into the small, dimly lit examination room, clipboard clutched tightly in my hand, I could feel my heart racing just a touch faster than normal. Though I had assisted with patient exams before, there was an unusual quality to this particular assignment that left me feeling slightly unsteady. In my role as a nurse at a bustling downtown clinic, I had encountered a myriad of situations, yet nothing could have braced me for the unexpected events that were about to unfold with Mr. Warren. In his early 50s, he was a man of few words, often retreating into the shadows of his own thoughts. He arrived for his regular blood pressure and cardiac assessments. Nothing out of the ordinary. As I entered the room, a sense of anticipation washed over me. Unlike any other time I had helped him before, he sat on the bed, his posture rigid and unsure, as if caught in a moment suspended in time. His gaze flitted about the room, and he squirmed uneasily beneath the flimsy hospital gown. "Good afternoon, Mr. Warren," I said softly, a warm smile gracing my lips as I entered the room. "How are you faring on this fine day?" He nodded swiftly, yet I could perceive the flicker of unease lurking behind his gaze. Something felt amiss. With a gentle approach, I moved in to assist, ensuring everything was in place for the exam. I adjusted the monitoring equipment and smoothed out his gown, creating a sense of calm in the moment. As I ventured forth, an unexpected sight caught my eye through the delicate veil of fabric. My eyes were drawn downwards, landing on the unmistakable silhouette hidden beneath the layers of the gown. I paused for a moment. In that moment, a rush of warmth spread across my cheeks, and I swiftly averted my gaze, silently urging myself to maintain my composure. In my past, I wore the mantle of a healer. I had honed my skills for those uncomfortable moments. Occasionally, events such as this unfold. It was merely the study of the body. Yet, the manner in which it revealed itself, so abrupt and unforeseen, unsettled me more than I had anticipated. With a gentle nod, I prepared to guide you into the doctor's embrace, my voice steady as I cleared my throat and reached once more to smooth the sheet. Yet, as I advanced, he maneuvered once more, this time with a swiftness that caught me off guard. The gown's edge slipped away entirely. All was laid bare. With a sharp intake of breath, I instinctively turned my head, striving to regain my composure. A whirlwind of thoughts danced through my mind. Should I tackle it? Depart from the chamber? Act as if nothing occurred? Just as I was about to make my choice, the door creaked open behind me. My apologies. I didn't intend to break the flow. A voice emerged, another nurse peeking her head through the doorway. With a single blink, she sensed the unease in the air, and without hesitation, she stepped back, firmly closing the door behind her. I glanced back at Mr. Warren, who now appeared utterly mortified. He rushed to shield himself, yet the palpable tension lingered heavily in the atmosphere. His face was flushed, and he cast his gaze downward, avoiding the eyes of those around him. With a heavy heart, he whispered an apology, his voice barely rising above the silence. As I inhaled deeply, I sought to reclaim my composure. "All is well. Let us prepare you for your exam, shall we?" As I reached for some fresh linens and supplies, a spark ignited as his hand lightly grazed mine. I found myself frozen once more. It was a fleeting moment, almost by chance, yet the way it hung in the air left me pondering if it was genuinely an error or a silent message waiting to be deciphered. My skin tingled, and for a fleeting moment, I found myself frozen, unsure of how to react. My professional instinct urged me to disregard it and forge ahead. Yet my intuition whispered a warning to tread carefully. At that moment, the door creaked open once more. In that moment, it was Dr. Anders, blissfully ignorant of the events that had just unfolded. "Is everything all right in here?" With a bright smile, he entered, casually flipping through the patient chart. "Indeed, Doctor," I exclaimed swiftly, moving to the side. Mr. Warren is prepared. I chose not to glance behind me. It was essential for me to escape the confines of that room. As the doctor commenced his usual inquiries, I slipped away quietly, my heart still pounding with intensity. The door clicked shut behind me, yet the unease lingered in the air. As the afternoon sun began to dip, I found myself immersed in my routine, diligently updating charts and making my rounds. Suddenly, my phone vibrated, drawing my attention to a message from the front desk. Mr. Warren has made a special request for Nurse Jenna to be present for tomorrow's follow-up. I gazed at the message, a knot forming in my stomach. Why me? Had I strayed from the path of rightness? Was it merely that I had glimpsed something I was never intended to witness, or had something more profound begun to take hold? The following day arrived more swiftly than I had anticipated. There I was, once more positioned before Mr. Warren's door, gathering my courage with a deep breath before I rapped on the wood. I reminded myself to maintain composure, to be professional, to remain distant. Yet, when the door creaked open and our gazes locked, a wave of unease washed over me once more. This time, he smiled, a confident and open expression that was a world apart from the shy, embarrassed look he wore the day before. It had a distinct quality, exuding confidence and a sense of control. In the quiet of the moment, he leaned closer and whispered, "You've been on my mind." My heart fluttered before I managed to let out a soft chuckle. "Let us concentrate on your checkup, Mr. Warren," I stated with a steady resolve, aiming to steer the dialogue back on course. Yet, as I approached his foreline, my mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. A sense of unease lingered in the air, and deep within, an unsettling sensation stirred, whispering that this was merely the dawn of something greater. The following morning, I stepped into the clinic with a resolve to maintain my distance. The day before had cast a shadow over my thoughts. I continually told myself that I was getting lost in my thoughts, that perhaps Mr. Warren was merely a bit clumsy and shy, and I was allowing it all to swirl around in my mind. Yet, a flicker of his request danced in my mind. He had sought me out once more, and that smile, it truly existed beyond the realm of my imagination. As I navigated through the day, I immersed myself in the care of other patients, tending to morning vitals and the necessary paperwork that accompanied each house. At approximately 10 a.m., the front desk summoned me once more, indicating that Mr. Warren was prepared in exam room 3. "He has requested your presence, just for you." My stomach did a somersault. I took hold of my chart and squared my shoulders. This time, I would ensure that everything was crystal clear. I would be straightforward, perhaps even a bit aloof if the situation calls for it. Simply navigate your way through it. As I stepped into the room, there sat Mr. Warren, upright and clad once more in a hospital gown. He appeared at ease, perhaps a bit too at ease. His hands rested gently in his lap, a mask of mystery cloaking his expression. "Greetings to you this fine morning." I offered him a warm greeting, aiming to maintain a swift pace in our exchange. "Allow me to prepare you for what lies ahead." Once more, he offered me a smile, that same disquieting assurance in his gaze. "It brings me joy to see you here." I took a moment to reflect. "Today, let us turn our attention to your well-being." He remained silent as I drew near. He meticulously adjusted his foot tubes, his eyes darting to the monitor for any sign of change. I moved with precision, ensuring each step was deliberate, avoiding any hesitation. As I leaned in just a bit to adjust the cuff on his arm, he spoke once more, his voice soft and almost conspiratorial. "Thoughts of you have been weaving through my mind." My jaw tightened. "Mr. Warren, my purpose here is to support you with your care, rather than to partake in personal discussions." He merely smiled, as if he had anticipated that very response all along. His gaze tracked my every move with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. In an instant, the door swung wide open, I was on the brink of leaping, a wave of relief washing over me as another figure crossed the threshold. Yet, my sense of relief was fleeting. It was not the doctor. There stood a woman in her mid-40s, her features striking and defined, elegantly attired, yet not in medical garb. With determination, she entered, her eyes sweeping across the space. Her gaze pierced through to me, then gracefully turned toward Mr. Warren. Her voice carried a serene quality, yet it held a subtle tension. Am I intruding on a tale being woven? Mr. Warren's expression wavered ever so slightly. No. Not at all. I sat up, my heart racing. As I wrapped things up, the final touches were coming together. I shall take my leave, allowing the two of you to share this moment together. I glided past her and into the hallway, just before she could utter another word. With the door gently shutting behind me, I let out a sharp breath. The woman's face lingered vividly in my thoughts, her captivating gaze, her measured voice. That was his beloved partner. I already knew it. No confirmation required. And she felt it in her bones, or at the very least, she had an inkling of the truth. At the nurse's station, I attempted to cast aside the memory of the encounter. Yet, the image of her gaze lingered in my mind, refusing to fade away. It was as if she had glimpsed something extraordinary within that room. She had not been meant to. In that moment, uncertainty gripped me, leaving me to ponder whether I had narrowly escaped a perilous situation or stumbled away from an embarrassing encounter. As the afternoon unfolded, I found myself sorting through files when another message arrived. Mr. Warren has requested your presence once more for tomorrow. Seeks your support during the follow-up examination. I gazed at the screen, utterly astonished. I knew it was time to bring this to an end. With a sense of purpose, I made my way to the lead nurse, Dana, and inquired if it would be possible for another caregiver to be assigned to Mr. Warren for the following day. He appears to be quite at ease. I remarked thoughtfully. I would appreciate a bit of distance. Dana's brow furrowed in discontent. Tomorrow, we find ourselves a bit short, but I shall see what I can conjure up. There was a lingering sense of uncertainty that enveloped me. The following day dawned more swiftly than I had hoped. I perused the roster. My name lingered alongside Warren's. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for what was to come. This time, I was stepping into the scene not merely as a nurse. I approached with clear limits, and I was prepared to express those distinctly. As I stepped into the room, he was there, patiently awaiting my arrival. This time, the atmosphere was charged with an unmistakable sense of change. He did not wear a smirk. He was far from at ease. He gazed out the window, his hands tightly clenched. Once upon a time, there was a cozy lap, a warm and inviting space where stories began to unfold. I wanted to talk to you, he said softly. Without turning around, I remained still at the threshold. What is the tale about? With a deliberate motion, he turned his head, locking his gaze with mine. Once upon a time, in the moments that led up to the unfolding events, I remained in my place, maintaining a steady tone. Allow me to lend my hand in your care, Mr. Warren. Should you wish to explore other matters, it would be best to engage with the administration. He gently shook his head. A slow, deliberate motion. There's no need for masks here. You felt it as well, didn't you? A shiver slithered down my spine. It seems there has been a misunderstanding, I stated with conviction. What you believe occurred is not what truly transpired. He leaned in just a bit. You chose to stay the first time. At that moment, the door let out a haunting creak as it swung open once more. It was not the healer. It was she, his beloved wife. She entered with a soft grace, her gaze gliding over the room, first finding me, then drifting to him. What unfolds in this moment? She inquired with an air of nonchalance. I paused for a moment, reflecting on the scene before me, as I was about to take my leave. As I strolled by her and stepped through the door, I sensed her gaze trailing after me, piercing like shards of glass within the corridor. I inhaled deeply, unaware that I had been holding my breath all along. A shadow loomed over me, a sense of foreboding that whispered this tale was far from its conclusion. The remainder of that shift seemed as though I were traversing through a thick mist. Each time I walked by the corridor adjacent to exam room 3, a wave of tension washed over me as I braced myself for the potential return of Mr. Warren, or even more daunting, his wife. With my gaze fixed on the charts, vitals, and patient check-ins, I immersed myself in the task at hand, striving to mask the unease that quietly simmered just beneath the surface. Indeed, it was. The image of his gaze lingered in my mind, the weight of his words echoing, an eerie tranquility in his wife's voice as she entered and inquired about the unfolding scene sent shivers down my spine. It was of no assistance that I continued, receiving the same notification on my work tablet. It appears that Mr. Warren has requested your presence for his upcoming visit. It felt as though a shadow lingered, refusing to be cast away. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself utterly spent. As I clocked out, a sense of anticipation filled me, urging me toward the staff exit. The thought of stepping outside and inhaling the crisp, fresh air was a welcome promise. As I turned the corner, there he was, standing right before me. Mr. Warren stood by the double doors, his coat draped over him, anticipation hanging in the air as he waited. I halted, caught in a moment of stillness. I just wanted to talk, he said, his voice dropping to a more relaxed tone, as if we were two friends catching up after a long day at work. I cast my eyes about. A handful of nurses strolled by the nurses' station, yet none appeared to take notice. Mr. Warren, this situation calls for a different approach. He drew nearer. Fear not, for I am not a source of dread. I feel no fear. I wove a tale untrue. Yet I find myself in a state of unease. You ventured into uncharted territory. Just as I was about to take my leave, a voice echoed from behind me. Once upon a time, there was a character named Jenna. It was Mark, one of the young team member from radiology. He was gesturing with a cheerful wave, a bright smile lighting up his face. I instinctively turned back toward him, feeling a wave of gratitude for the welcome distraction. As I pivoted once more, I found Mr. Warren had already retreated, his expression a mystery. Once more, he whispered softly, silently. I departed, my lips sealed in quietude. The following day, I approached Dana once more, expressing my need for someone else to assume responsibility for Mr. Warren's care. She vowed to explore the possibilities. Yet given our limited team, my hopes were dim. I steered clear of his hallway, seeking refuge in other spaces, desperately trying to restore a semblance of normalcy. That afternoon, as the sun cast a warm glow through the staff room, I found a moment of respite. It was then that a message appeared on my tablet, beckoning my attention. Warren, the patient, is seeking the presence of Nurse Jenna. It is of utmost importance. My stomach twisted in knots. I nearly let it slip away. It was nearly overlooked. Yet I chose not to. With determination, I seized my badge, adjusted my scrubs, and confidently headed back to room 3. If he dared to make another move, I would put an end to it right then and there. As I stepped into the room, I anticipated that he would begin to weave his words immediately. He simply did not. Mr. Warren perched on the edge of the bed, gazing out the window once more, his expression graver than ever. I need to speak with you, he said, his gaze averted. I maintained a balanced tone. What about your care? Absolutely not. What transpired? I lingered by the entrance. Mr. Warren, I have shared my thoughts on this matter already. He pivoted, interrupting my words. Do you believe you're the sole one in a state of confusion? My eyelids fluttered, surprised and unprepared. I don't want to play games, he said, rising slowly to his feet. Yet One cannot overlook the essence that lingers in this moment. No one has heard your tale. That carries weight. That signifies my effort to maintain a sense of professionalism. I lost my composure. He advanced, yet I stood firm. In an instant, he seized my wrist with a swift motion. Please don't, I urged, swiftly retracting my arm. He offered a subtle smile. Will you keep this a secret, my friend? For you see, the image that will unfold is clear as day. In that moment, the door let out a haunting creak once more, and there, just beyond the threshold, caught in the interplay of light and shadow, stood his wife. She had lingered in that place long enough to catch a whisper of something intriguing. Her expression was a frigid mask, shrouded in mystery and impenetrable to the eye. Silence enveloped the moment as her gaze lingered, unbroken and profound. I retreated swiftly, slipping out of the room without casting another glance at either of them. My heart raced with such intensity, and it felt like it might burst. Unbeknownst to me, the whispers of Mrs. Warren had reached her ears. Her beliefs were a mystery to me. Yet I sensed a shift in the air. As the evening wore on and I prepared to bid farewell to the clinic for the night, my gaze fell upon her once more. Ms. Warren paused at the front desk, waiting. I need a word, she said, her voice a whisper yet sharp, cutting through the air with purpose. With a moment of uncertainty, I gave a nod. She guided me into a modest, well-worn office tucked away down the hall. As the door clicked shut, she pivoted to confront me, her arms folded defiantly across her chest. I am aware of the actions you've taken concerning my husband. My heart sank. Ah, dear lady, it seems there has been a misunderstanding. Do not deceive me, she retorted sharply. I've observed the glances he casts your way, and the way you react in return. I assured them, my voice steady, that my actions were entirely appropriate. You're not the first, she said with an icy demeanor. You can be the last. With that, she departed from the room. In that moment, I found myself standing solitary, the atmosphere thick with unspoken words. The lines had blurred, the rules had shifted, and whatever this was, it was far from finished. The ensuing days unfolded in a haze of tension and vigilance. I lingered in the distant corners of the clinic, steering clear of exam room 3 altogether. I even adjusted my break schedule solely to maintain my distance from both Mr. Warren and his wife. Yet, the burden of what had transpired lingered with me always. Her warning resonated in my thoughts, a relentless ticking that marked the passage of time. Yet, nothing could have truly equipped me for what unfolded next. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the shadows grew long, and the air was thick with the quiet of a place winding down. Most of the staff had already departed, leaving behind an echo of their day's work. As I wrapped up the paperwork by the nurse's station, my gaze fell upon Mr. Warren, standing solitary at the end of the hall, patiently waiting. My breath hitched. He had long since been meant to depart from that place. His checkups had come to an end. What was it that kept him hanging around? I rose to my feet, prepared to make my exit through the rear door. As I rounded the corner, he emerged from the shadows. Jenna, he murmured, his voice a soft whisper, tinged with weariness. I have something to share. It seems we've reached the end of our tale. I responded swiftly, eager to slip by him unnoticed. Yet, he softly obstructed my way, not with hostility, merely sufficient to compel my attention. She shared her words with you, didn't she? He inquired. I nodded, maintaining a posed demeanor. Indeed, she did. And I believe it would be wise to put an end to whatever this is before it evolves into something more troubling. Yet, rather than retreating, he offered a smile, slow and disquieting. She remains blissfully unaware of the full tale that lies beneath the surface. It was in that moment I sensed it once more. That palpable tension, that lurking danger. Before I could respond, he extended his hand and seized my wrist, Release your grip on me. I snapped, yanking me unbound. This is an unwelcome intrusion. You're not going to report me, he said with a steady voice, because you understand how this will unfold. Your tale versus mine. My mouth opened to respond, but I paused, for there, just beyond him, stood a figure shrouded in mystery. In the dimly lit hallway, shadows danced, revealing the presence of his wife. She had absorbed it all. A hallway was suddenly filled with an unexpected chill. Quiet. Mr. Warren stood still, a sudden awareness dawning as he sensed what lay behind him. Just out of sight. He turned with a deliberate slowness. Mrs. Warren stood with her arms folded, her expression a canvas of neutrality. Yet, her eyes held a keen intensity, sharp and calculating. Is all well in this place? She inquired, her tone far too serene. I instinctively took a step back. As I was about to take my leave, I slipped by them in silence, urgency propelling me toward the exit. Yet my heart raced uncontrollably. Had she gathered sufficient courage to face him? Would she? Will you face me once more? I was reluctant to uncover the truth. I believed that would mark the conclusion of the tale. As I extended my hand toward the door to exit the clinic, a sensation washed over me. Gentle touch upon my shoulder. I pivoted, posed for action. It was she, Madam Warren. Hold on, she murmured gently. I gazed at her, caught in a moment of indecision, torn between the urge to flee and the desire to hear her words. Yet, there was an unmistakable quality in her voice that brought me to a standstill. We must converse, she said, motioning toward a vacant consultation room close by. With a heavy heart, I trailed behind her. Once inside, she closed the door and turned to face me, her expression a mystery waiting to be unraveled. I've witnessed the way he gazes upon you, she remarked. I understand the depths of his abilities. My mouth felt parched. So, what's the reason behind it? I'm not here to threaten you, she declared with unwavering conviction. Allow me to assist you on your journey. What is it that you seek? I'm not the woman you believe I am, she continued. Tom, my husband, harbors a shadowy aspect. He weaves his influence over others, particularly the women in his life. I have witnessed him perform that act in the past. I've allowed it to drift by until this moment. I remained quiet. With a graceful motion, she retrieved a folder from her handbag and offered it to me. Within lay images, papers, notes, and artifacts that wove a narrative of a person I had never anticipated. For years, she remarked, he has been at this. Not merely nurses, but also colleagues, neighbors, and even a family friend. My hands quivered with anticipation as I turned the pages of the contents. You see, she said, her voice suddenly steady once more. This tale we weave transcends the boundaries of you and me. It revolves around influence, and he will continue on his path, relentless, until someone steps in to halt his course. I gazed upward. What compels you to share all of this with me? With a graceful motion, she delved into her bag and retrieved a small silver key, its surface gleaming with promise. For the reason that I seek your assistance in revealing the truth about him. What is it? You already have one foot in the fire, she remarked. So, why not set it ablaze? I was enveloped in a swirling haze. The room swirled gently around me. Could it be that she was truly earnest? Could this be a snare? Or was she genuinely finished with the charade of being the ideal spouse? Just as I was about to respond, she swung the door wide open. Consider it, she remarked as she stepped outside. But do not linger too long. He's weaving the threads of his next move into a captivating tale. There I stood, a folder clutched in one hand, a key dangling from the other, ensnared in a realm more profound and shadowy than I had ever envisioned. And now, the moment had come for me to make a choice. Turn your back and weave a tale where none of this ever unfolded. Or remain and weave yourself into the unfolding tale that awaits. I appreciate you taking the time to immerse yourself in this episode's tale. Be sure to subscribe and explore more content to unveil the myriad captivating hues of existence.